is Joy News Prime.
This is Joy News Prime, your most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. My name is Israelite. Coming up, Electoral Commission confronted with another legal challenge over its plan to use the existing voters register in the conduct of the 2016 polls. Despite concerns, it is bloated. Case challenging eligibility of Zanetor Rawlings as the NDC's Kole Klote parliamentary candidate to continue after Accra High Court dismisses motion against it. 10 unclaimed and unidentified victims of last Wednesday's tragic accident at Kintampo buried in mass grave.
And when we hit business, car dealers are complaining the ECOWAS common external tariff system we took off the 1st of this month has escalated prices of their vehicles.
Negotiations between government and teacher unions end without conclusion as the party scheduled another round of talks on Tuesday to avert possible strike. Also coming up in the bulletin will be sports, entertainment and Joy News Interactive. Do stay tuned. A suit has been filed at the Supreme Court against the Electoral Commission challenging the eligibility of some names in the voters register to be used for the 2016 general elections. Kwame Boafo, a member of the New Patriotic Party, is seeking 10 reliefs from the defendants, which also includes an order compelling them to compile a new and credible national voters register for use in the 2016 general elections in Ghana. The EC and the Attorney General, who are the two defendants, are expected to file a statement of defense within 14 days. Kwame Boafo, the plaintiff, has been explaining his legal quest. He spoke earlier on the Pulse.
The reason is that the commissioner of the Electoral Commission, in one of the interview with, I think, Joy FM or the news file, said that it will be arbitrary and discriminatory application of law to expunge or delete names of foreigners and minors from the current national register. This same Electoral Commission is saying that it is arbitrary and discriminatory application of law to expunge names from the register. Has contracted an independent auditor to audit the register. And I'm asking, why the auditor? Because this same institution is saying that they are found it is extremely difficult for them to expunge or delete names on the register. And they are auditing. What are you auditing? Secondly, the Electoral Commission own committee, chaired by VCRC Club, at page 19 to 20 of their funding. The Electoral Commission to fund a middle ground of a new registration process. Which new registration process will give us a new voter register? What are they doing about that? The Electoral Commission to also admitted that the current voter register is bloated, contain names of deceased persons, foreigners, and so on. That admission clearly shows that the current national register is not fit for this year election. Therefore, you have to compile a new one, and they are not doing that. That is why I'm invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to compel the Electoral Commission to comply with the findings of their committee, the findings in the VCRC committee, and also compel the Electoral Commission to compel a credible register for this year. And the VCRC committee, the committee said that the current register is not fit for any purpose. The current register is not fit for any purpose.
In which part of that committee's report did they say that? Because I remember the recommendations that were given.
Page 17 to 18. The committee party said that the current register is not fit for any purpose. It's not fit for any purpose. If the register is not fit for any purpose, why are you using that same register to organize an election?
Now, a court case challenging the eligibility of Dr. Zanetor Rawlings as the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for the Korle-Klottey constituency will be heard after an attempt to stop the case failed on Monday. The case was filed by the incumbent Member of Parliament for Korle-Klottey, Barima Osei Asare, who lost to the daughter of the founder of the NDC, Flight Lieutenant Zanetor Rawlings, in the party's primaries last year. The lawyers of Dr. Zanetor wanted the case dismissed because it lacked merit. But the High Court in Accra rather dismissed the motion on the grounds that they did not wait to listen to Mr. Ashite's argument before bringing the motion. The judge also pointed out that there were procedural errors and that the motion was not properly brought. Monday's ruling would typically be a setback for Dr. Zanetor, but when Joy News' Kwache Afrenema caught up with her after the case, she said she was neither daunted by the court's decision nor distracted by the case itself.
The case is ongoing, so we're just waiting to see how it goes.
It looks like this is a blow to you.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. Because the case isn't over yet. You can't say it's a blow until it's over, and we don't know that for sure, do we?
Are you confident of winning the case?
Yes.
I mean, this is taking away vital campaign time.
Allow the court to take its own course.
We make good use of the time that we have, so we just keep going.
So this is not distracting you in any way?
I wouldn't say so. It would be better not to have it, but if it's here, we deal with it and we move on.
Now, the incumbent MP, Mr. Barima Osei Asare, who brought the case to court, has also reacted to the ruling.
Well, I mean, we're talking about law, okay, and you can see that there was a very comprehensive ruling that touched on the heart of the matter. That now that their application has been dismissed, we are now moving to the next stage with a motion for injunction to stop the lady from doing any campaign. And then we are going to finally decide whether she really is a registered voter. And that's it.
Some say you lost this election. Why don't you?
I didn't lose that election.
You didn't lose?
I didn't lose it. I didn't lose it.
Then what happened?
Well, the point is that the woman was not qualified to stand. She was not qualified to stand. So
you tell those who say you're a bad loser.
I'm not a bad. She is also, well, I don't want to use wrong words. I didn't lose the election. We are in court. We've come to court. You were in the courtroom. A ruling has been made. We are going on. That's it. That's it.
How do you feel about this ruling?
Well, it's good for democracy, good for rule of law. That's it.
They are confident of winning the case at the end.
Oh, of course. What is left now is about determination of whether the lady is a registered voter. That's all.
From what you heard in court,
Yeah.
do you think your case will be upheld?
I am saying that what is left now is a determination of whether the lady is a registered voter. That's it.
How far are you willing to go to get to the bottom of this matter?
Oh,
the elections are closed.
it's step by step. We'll go as far as we can. Yeah.
Well, staying with the course, pressure group Citizens Movement Ghana has filed a suit against government demanding transparency in the controversial bus rebranding contract. The group, among other reliefs, is asking the court to order the Attorney General to make public her findings into the contentious contract awarded NDC supporter Selassie Ibrahim, chief executive of Smarties Production, the company that won the deal. The group will return to court on March 9.
Issue of transport or the Attorney General's office. And so what we did was to activate the rules of court in order to proceed with the matter. So we filed an application to set the matter down for hearing, which was scheduled for today. And so today we came to court only to meet a senior state attorney from the Attorney General's department, who then informed us. It was in open court that we got to learn that they had filed an affidavit in opposition to our application, and the judge informed us that this affidavit in opposition was filed on the 19th of February this year, and we had not even been served. And so we are taking steps to be served with that affidavit in opposition. And then also the issue of preliminary legal objection came up, which is that the Attorney General is saying that we should have come by writ instead of an application. And so the judge has asked us to write written submissions, put down legal arguments on that, file simultaneously, and then we are back in court on the 9th of March, where the judge will make a decision on that, on the preliminary legal objection, before we proceed to the substantive matter under Article 21(1)(f) of the 1992 Constitution.
But were you surprised at the action of the AG today?
Well, we were not surprised because we were expecting them to be in court, and indeed the AG was in court, as well as representatives from the Ministry of Transport. They were in court as well, and so we are happy that at the very least, although belated, they have reacted to the application. It is good to advance democracy in this country, especially when it comes to the fundamental human rights relating to the right to information.
The executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa says he is disappointed Parliament is not considering the importance of stakeholder input into the new Telecoms and Package Interception Bill. The bill, Interception of Postal Packets and Telecommunications Messages Bill 2016, which is currently before Parliament, when passed into law, may infringe a lot on your privacy. According to Suleiman Barima, the bill is a surveillance bill that requires public scrutiny and stakeholder participation.
I should acknowledge that around the world today, governments are taking all manner of measures to ensure that whilst people's freedoms online is respected, national security and security for persons within a state is also guaranteed. And therefore, it is not surprising for me if a government decides that, well, it is time for us to look into ways by which we can deal with crime that occur online. But at the same time, I think that privacy is an important thing. And so people have asked, would you trade, for example, your privacy for security? And others have said, well, your privacy is part of your security. And therefore, if in an attempt to provide you security, what they do is to breach your security, then what security are we talking about? And so people have talked about the Snowden equation, which is that state security versus individual privacy, which one is paramount? Yeah. And that is why our view, and I think that of many, has been that, look, it's important to guarantee security for people because they are bad boys, and bad girls online who are planning all manner of things. But at the same time, people also need to have their privacy guaranteed, which is a fundamental human right. And therefore, for a law like this, it is important that it is subjected to public scrutiny. It is subjected to stakeholder participation. And in fact, that is what the fundamental principle around internet governance is around the world. And I must say at this point that Ghana is one of 3 countries that are members of the Freedom Online Coalition around the world. In Africa, there are only 3 countries, Ghana, Kenya, and Tunisia. Okay. And fundamentally, this group of almost 30 countries have pledged and affirmed that when it comes to freedom of expression online, we would do what it is that would promote freedom of expression online rather than restricting it. And fundamentally, the rights that people have offline should apply to online. And therefore, one would expect that for the government of Ghana to think of coming up with what I would say is a surveillance bill, fundamentally, it is just absolutely right that it is subjected to public discussions, public scrutiny, inputs, and so on. But what did we have? We just had it, and then we were told that we have 2 days to make inputs. And even as people raised concerns last week, we are told that we have 2 weeks.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks to extend, to submit whatever memoranda we have on this particular bill. So one asks, what is the rush? We've had important bills, such as the Right to Information Bill in Parliament over the last, back and forth over the last decade. And that is something that is about empowering people to legitimately have access to the kind of information they need. It is when people don't have access to information that sometimes they will resort to all manner of ways to get information. Okay.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we have more stories. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, the Kintampo Government Hospital has had to carry out a mass burial of some of the victims of last Wednesday's tragic road crash at Kintampo in the Branhafu region. A total of 10 bodies were dumped in the same grave in the mass burial on Sunday. Authorities at the hospital had warned a few days ago they would have no option than to bury the unidentified and unclaimed bodies if their relatives would not come for them. The medical superintendent at the hospital, Dr. Owusu Fosu, told Joy News the bodies were going bad. He explained there was inadequate space at the mortuary, which has a capacity of 15 corpses and an already weak refrigeration system. The resultant stench, he says, compelled the hospital to dispose of the bodies the way it did. Well, the National Road Safety Commission says the spate of accidents on Ghana's roads can be significantly reduced if stakeholders ensure they fully implement road safety policies they sign on to. Head of Communications Kwame Kodia-Etuahene says Ghana has in place policies that are geared towards addressing these accidents, except they have not been fully implemented. He stressed there is very little the Commission can do about the situation since they do not have the powers to prosecute agencies who fail to carry out their responsibilities.
Figures provided by the National Road Safety Commission as of December 2015 had a total of 1,634 people being killed in 10,852 road crashes nationwide. According to the Commission, though the figures appear to be an improvement on 2013 and 2014, the recent accidents in 2016 could derail the efforts made so far. Head of Communications, Kwame Kodia-Etuahene, tells Joy News many of the accidents could be prevented.
Today we are able to identify the 20 accident-prone locations. We call them hotspots in every region of the country. Some of them require as little treatment as a road sign. I am not mandated to do that, but an agency like the Barima or Fidaros or the highways.
So how are you collaborating with some?
So one of the collaboration, I take this data to you and try to impress on you that, this is the difficult area. So I would be happy if you could sign up to an action plan, which they do. We carry out a lot of research programs. The outcomes are shared with them with a view to influence what they do. On the other hand, the challenge has been that when, for one reason or the other, they fail to implement a particular action, then I'm constrained, because by law there's a limit to what the Commission can do. I cannot insist that, even though I think that if you provided line markings on the motorway, for instance, it could reduce the level of, it could improve visibility and reduce the level of crashes.
To what extent can you push it? Because if at the end of the day you should do all these research, identify these hotspots, and then you don't find the key implementers doing it, it brings your work back to zero.
Yes, I agree with you in many respects. We can only trust and count on the good judgment of these institutions when it gets to a certain. The challenge we have had over time really is that there are times where there's a limit to what you can do. You can persuade and impress and advise and urge them, but you really are unable to insist that certain core actions should be taken even when you believe that they will serve the public interest.
Then we are not wrong if we should say that they are partly to blame for what we are seeing on our roads today.
Sure, we take the praise and blame together. The Commission does not construct roads. We do not license drivers. We do not certify vehicles as roadworthy. We do not put any vehicle on the road. We think that our duty as we speak is one of bringing these agencies together and trying to influence what they do at their respective levels with data and research outcomes and best practice. So if for any reason we do not get as much commitment from them, I think it will be fair for us to take the blame as a collective, much as we make gains in terms of reductions.
The Commission adds that the only way to prevent the carnage on the country's roads is for the citizenry to also adopt a change in attitude, stressing that if road users refuse to change their attitudes, road crashes will continue to occur.
President John Mahama says government has procured new ferries to be deployed immediately to ensure those who have to rely on them are assured of their safety. He was speaking on the back of a near ferry disaster last Wednesday night at the Yeji Lake crossing, save for the timely intervention of the Ghana Navy.
We also had a near disaster with a ferry crossing the Yeji crossing, and we believe that we should take a look at the safety of our ferries, but we also understand that the low level of the lake has made it a bit more dangerous with the ferry crossings. We're hoping that when the rains open up and the lake level comes up, we should be able to have safer crossings. We have new ferries that have asked to be deployed immediately so that we can be sure that our people are safe and secure when they have to cross some of the many rivers that we have crisscrossing our country.
Inmates of the Ho Central Prison in the Volta region should no longer be making their way to court in commercial vehicles meant to carry regular commuters. The mode of transportation, though highly risky, is what authorities have had to rely on for some years now after the vehicles completely broke down. Though government has now presented the prison with 2 new vehicles and a motorbike, the authorities say they could do with more.
Central Prison's last transfer saw about 40 inmates packed in a 214-seater commercial vehicle together with warden officers. Prison authorities lament that the arrangement poses great challenge to them. These 2 Mahindra pickups that have been serving the prison have completely broken down and out of use for close to 2 years. Speaking to Joy News, the commander of the prison, DDP Victor Agbelengo, explained that they tried to maintain and keep the vehicles on the road until the vehicles broke down completely. He added that running the prison without vehicles is quite terrible.
I tell you, the prison service has been commended over the years for the ability to maintain its vehicles. These vehicles came at a time when other institutions have been given the vehicle. But it is only with the prison service that you can see most of these vehicles still on the road. We have done our best to maintain all these vehicles all along, but it has gotten to a point that you can no longer maintain them, and that is why they are grounded. But we have done a lot to maintain vehicles, and I know people can attest to it that we have been able to maintain our vehicles for this period. And when it gets to a point, it gets beyond repairs, there is nothing you can do about it again.
Fortunately, government has presented a 30-seater Nissan bus to the male cells and a Nissan saloon car to the female cells of the whole Central Prison. The facility has also received a motorbike. That notwithstanding, DDP Victor Agbelengo says the command still needs more vehicles.
I don't have a command vehicle, so in fact, at times going on certain distances is quite challenging. But there is the assurance, or there is the information that government wants to still give us vehicles. So we expect that when such issues come up, they will give us a vehicle, a command vehicle, and we also want something like a pickup to facilitate in the conveyance of for short distances, and then if the number of the prisoners is not quite high, we can use that one to convey them. I must personally commend government, the Service Council, for the way they have handled our issues. In fact, they've done a lot for us by making sure that at least we get this fleet of vehicles that have come into the system right now for us to be able to operate and to manage issues. And so we want to appreciate them and want to appreciate the current crop of directorates for the way they are going about the things, the way they are handling situations.
The situation is not different at the Kpandu and Kitekrachi prisons, where authorities have challenges with the unavailability of vehicles. Fred Kwame Asare's report from Volta region.
We're taking a break on Joy News Prime. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. Right, it's now time for business, and Emmanuel has joined me. Apparently, there's some interesting news going on about the prices of vehicles.
Exactly.
So if you want to buy a vehicle, you probably should have bought it a couple of months back.
Exactly.
Or weeks back.
And it means
before
that
the ECOWAS CET came into force.
It means that for those of us who are yet to go in for cars, we better prepare to pay more cash. It's quite unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Well, don't worry. Maybe the company will buy you a vehicle.
Well, let's hope so. Anyway, welcome back from you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, it's quite restful.
Yeah, you look fresh.
Thank you. Right, carry on.
All right, so time for business. And car dealers are complaining the ECOWAS Common External Tariff (CET) system, which took effect on the 1st of this month, has resulted in the higher prices of their vehicles. According to them, the new tax regime has unduly increased their cost of operations, and they have no option but to pass it on to consumers by increasing the prices of the vehicles. According to the dealers, under the new ECOWAS Common External Tariff system, the import duty for saloon cars has shot up from 5% to 10%, whilst that of sports utility vehicles, SUVs, have also increased from 10 to 20%. They explained that these hikes, coupled with tough economic environment, have resulted in higher prices for their vehicles.
This is a Yaris 1.5 automatic, and this is currently going for 86,000 Ghana cedis. Well, the general taxes, as was explained, jumped from 10% to 20%, but we had a 7% increase in our prices. So this is a Prado KD automatic. It's KD because it has a turbo-fitted engine. This currently goes for 300,000 Ghana cedis.
Vehicles below 1,005 has been increased by 5% and 10% to 20%. So relatively, for lower cars or smaller passenger cars is 5% more to become 10%, and the SUVs added 10% more.
What happens is that the salon cars has increased. The salon cars have increased by not less than 5%. That's about 4%, and then that's on the overall price. What's happening is that the import duty itself has increased by 5%.
Joy Business has also been speaking with some second-hand car dealers who also added their voice to the concern.
As for the increase there, even if without the tax, when the currency goes up, the duty that we pay also goes up, because they always check the duties on a foreign currency, either dollars or euro, you see, and also they come up with an increase of taxes. So it's both sides.
The cost is the increase of the duties and all that. Well, it used to be 5%, and now they have increased it to 10%.
But the principal economic officer at the Ministry of Finance, Benjamin Ayensu Kwafu, also explained to Joy Business vehicles are part of the items largely enjoying tax reliefs under the ECOWAS CET.
When we look at vehicles, the city, under the city is 20%. But Ghana said, no, we can't do that. So we still maintain our rate of 5% vehicles. So by all other Umoma countries, all the French-speaking countries, they apply 20% as import duty on vehicles. But so Ghana, we did not change any of our rates.
Meanwhile, prices of second-hand vehicles are reported to have gone up by over 25% within the last year due to the cedi depreciation and taxes, among other factors, at the country's ports. Well, some Ghanaian companies are advancing moves to exploit the opportunities generated by the rollout of the digital migration broadcasting migration system. The companies have established factories to manufacture set-top boxes as well as the digital TV sets for both the local and West African markets. More in this report.
This has been possible because under the digital transition, all analog TV sets would require set-top boxes to be compliant. The secretary to the Digital Broadcasting Migration Committee, Edmond Fiangu, explains to Joy Business there's a bigger market for these products because they can be exported to neighboring countries.
For digital TV, you can package more than 20 TV stations on one frequency. There are some of our neighbors who only have, in terrestrial analog, only like 2 channels or 3 channels. I can speak about Cote d'Ivoire, and that has only about 3 terrestrial channels. So the moment they switch on a digital channel, they have to fill it with more. Exactly. It creates opportunity for content producers to go markets because I know West African countries who watch a lot of Ghana TV over satellite, and so there's that affinity, and our creative industry can really exploit that opportunity. One such local company, Suba Info Solutions, has already set up a factory to start manufacturing set-top boxes by next month. Grant Apia, a senior sales and marketing officer.
We have built an assembly line that will be able to assemble in the set-top boxes and also be distributing in Ghana as well as West Africa. We actually have 2 boxes. One box is called Ghana, that's the one for Ghana. And we've done another one called Diwa, and that was called Digital West Africa. And that one we are targeting the entire West African market. And then we're hoping that we'll be able to draw some good attentions once we get out of Africa.
Okay, so definitely this is a huge opportunity for Ghanaian companies like yours.
Very, very huge, and I think they need a lot of support, so that because all the West African countries will be depending on Ghana for us to supply them, because most of them are now about to enter the phase of the transformation itself, so they'll need Ghana to guide them, and I feel more businesses will need to jump in to fill in these big markets.
GN Electronics is also looking beyond producing set-top boxes to assemble digital TV sets for both the Ghanaian and West African market. The general manager, Marisa Susan Feem, has also been speaking to Joy Business.
We partnered with international manufacturers and we started assembling NCA certified receivers in Elmina last year. So we have here a product that is assembled in Ghana. We've also done something for Ghanaians. So we have a manual that is in local language. So we have Tri Fanti Enga for the users to be able to learn how to operate the set-top box. In a few months, we will start assembling televisions. Those as well will be certified by the NCA. So we're working with tertiary institutions locally. We're working with communities to employ and train and truly build the skill set for an electronics assembly industry.
Aside the production of set-top boxes and digital TV sets, TV content producers are also expected to sell more, not only locally, but outside. Just like the Indian telenovela Kumkum Bhagya exclusively telecast on Adum TV channel on Multi TV.
Still staying in business, land surveyors are now hoping to have their industry bill passed by April this year. The institution of surveyors has been working on this for over 10 years now. A passage of the bill is expected to address the high rate of unprofessionalism in the construction industry, which is blamed for the many building collapses in recent years. President of the institution, Eko Budu Angwa, spoke to Joy Business at the annual Surveyors Conference this year.
Clamping down on unprofessionals, as I said, is what is difficult for us because of the non-existence of the Survey Council bill. There's no law which says that nobody should practice as a surveyor. So that's the problem that we are facing. We are calling for the professionals, is that when you see a professional, your work is done for you and done for you professionally. By April, we must try to get this law into Parliament so that it should be passed before the campaign starts. It went to Parliament for passing. Then 2012 was there, and there was elections, and there was a new Parliament, and there was a new cabinet. And the new cabinet brought it down. It asked that it should be brought down for them to see also. And it was brought down. When it was brought down, they saw that there was some conflict between that and the Land Commission bill. So they brought it back to us. And we are still putting finishing touches. We are in consultation with Land Commission.
Well, so that's the president of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. We now have to go to the stock market where John Amako is standing by. I know it's not the stock market, but you are updating us on the stocks. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Tell us more about the stock market.
Exactly. So today only one particular equity moved the market, that's Ghana Commercial Bank. But of course, because of the capital base and the value of that, it actually was able to move the market by adding 1 peso to the investor. But of course, the market did quite well. Okay, by actually selling almost about 40,000 shares of other shares, but then only GCB really managed to actually break through by adding one peso to their shares, so close the market around 3.71 peso. Again,
so all the other equities went down.
No, that's not what it means. What it means is that they traded, but they were not able to actually break through, to actually cause some kind of action on the market base. That's what it means. Okay, so that is exactly what it is. It's only GCB that was able to actually do that, basically, and that is exactly what it is on the Ghana store. But still, the total market capitalization was able to actually rise a bit by almost about 0.01% to close somewhere around 56,849. That is exactly what this also means. So it means that GCB has a very strong impact on the Ghana stock, because if you want to rank, it's going to be almost about the 5th most capitalized equity on that particular market there. So it's quite significant in there. And then bringing the year-on-year index to almost about 0.09 in the negative region. So the composite index is still wallow within the negative regions. And let's look at the commodities market. Crude oil is actually gaining some momentum after the hullabaloo about Iran, Iraq, the freeze, and all those. I think gradually the market is responding to it. So as we speak, before we came to studio, I mean, you most added about $1.79, cent to it to close the market around 34.80. That's exactly what it is. You know, but Friday was doing almost around 32.33. So now it's almost about 34.80 a barrel. That's exactly. Gold,
quite encouraging.
It's quite encouraging. Gold also keeps going down. Today it's lost almost about $26.21. Now closing about 1,202 per ounce. That's also quite instructive to also get. And then cocoa also lost almost about $18 to close at 2,893. So that is how the global commodity marketplace looks like. But then let's look at it. Today the Ghana cedi did very well after it actually was able to outmuscle the likes of the British pound, the euro, and the Chinese yuan, basically. But it's still not able to actually deal with the pressures being mounted on it by the United States dollar. So that's exactly the market for you, Emmanuel.
All right, thank you very much. That was a good one.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see you tomorrow again with more updates. Yeah. That was John Amako, our stock market analyst, giving to us a breakdown of the market today. And that wraps up the business segment. Thank you very much for your company, and do join me again same time tomorrow for more interesting developments. Keep watching the news. Good evening.
Management of the Buntu Brotrum Canopy walkway says it has received clearance from the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council to commence operations about 7 months after temporary closure. At least 21 students were injured at the walkway on July 1 last year when portions of the canopy collapsed. A committee formed by the Eastern Regional Minister to look into the accident recommended the closure of the facility and tasked the Institute of Engineers and the Ghana Standards Authority to supervise the rehabilitation and certification of the facility for public use.
Our story about certification arises after the accident last year. The Regional Coordinating Council instituted a committee of inquiry to look into the possible reasons why the bridge fell. And after their sitting, they recommended on various issues to the Regional Coordinating Council. Thereafter, the Regional Coordinating Council wrote to the Ghana Tourism Authority, who later contracted the Ghana Institute to test the quality of the materials used. And after they were satisfied with the materials, they also wrote to the Ghana Tourism Authority certifying that the bridge is safe to use. And subsequent to that, the Regional Coordinating Council, they Ghana Tourism Authority and the Ghana Standard Authority have all issued letters of approval for the reopening of this facility.
The site manager of the Arboretum gave details of the recommendations made by the investigative committee. He spoke to my colleague in the Eastern region, Edwin Kofisian.
One major recommendation was to ensure regular maintenance on the bridge, making sure that we do not exceed the capacity of the bridge. So we have now come to an agreement that we're not going to put more than 6 adults on a bridge at a time, and we're also not going to put more than 10 children on the bridge at a time. So that has been the standard number of people you can see on a bridge. They recommended that we pay compensation to the injured. With that, because the Canopy walkway was insured at the time of the accident, we are liaising with the insurance company. If I say the insurance company, we are working with the Star Assurance company. So we're going to liaise with them, with the doctors and the police, so that whoever was involved in the accident will have something. But before that, management paid all the medical expenses of the injured. We have paid all.
Okay. Government has announced plans to relocate residents of Fulvama, a community in the Volta region, currently being washed away due to the rising sea level. 2 weeks ago, more than 30 homes were submerged permanently as the sea took over more land. Municipal Chief Executive of Keta, Sylvester Tonyega, tells Joy News that more than 1,000 residents will be moved by next month.
We are so much, as an assembly, we are so much concerned about people and also concerned about the reduction in size of Anglo land. Because as Pokbogo has gone, it means that our land has been reduced. Fulvama is also going, we are concerned. But the most concern that we raised was the human life. Schools have been affected. So last week, the executive committee met of the assembly, and we took a decision. A 7-member committee was put up to look at resettlement issues. So a land was identified. We asked them to look for the owners of that land, and they'll negotiate. Because this is a temporary issue, because we are looking at a permanent solution to the problem. So we are expecting them 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they should bring us a report where a temporary structure for the school also will go so that schools are not unduly interrupted. The academic life of the pupils will not be unduly affected, and the people too will not be so much displaced. So it is our hope that by early next month we should find a way of resettling the people.
How far away are you relocating them from their native communities?
It is not very far. We know if you travel from Achiteti, you go to a community called Agokeji before Fulvama. So there is a parcel of land between Achiteti and then Fulvama, where exactly, which is closer to Agokeji. That's the area.
And the people have agreed to go from your negotiations?
Yes, they prefer that place because it doesn't change whatever profession or whatever they do for living. It will not change because they are still in between the sea and then the lagoon, the river.
Well, the residents are unhappy about the plan to resettle them. They say government should rather construct a sea defense wall to protect them.
2 months, next month, the situation will be worse because there that we are entering into the rough season of the sea. So if the government have done nothing about it, it will be worse than what we are seeing right now. But I can bet on it. Within 2 months, if they have done nothing about it, then the whole community will submit into the sea.
would you be ready to relocate from here because it looks like the sea is coming?
We cannot go to any. Why about 1,000 people? Why are they? Why are we going? Where are we going? We are fisher folks and we are living here. They are saying that we should go and settle at different places. We can't go to any place. We cannot survive over there.
So you rather live here and die, probably?
We can't die. We can't die. Government should do something about it so that we won't die.
What would you want government to do?
Sea defense. Sea defense. That's the best solution about the situation. That's the only solution government can do about this situation.
We want government to come and defend the area for us.
With the construction of
sea defense, yeah. Or they can do ground in the sea. Or they can break the water for us so that the sea will not have the upper hand on us. The government have abandoned us. So since we have been voting for this and this government, they have not doing anything to this community. Even the school is the community that is building it for themselves. The government is not doing anything at all to this village. The people are in the village are very, very fed up. They don't know what to do now. So if you don't do this thing for us, we don't know what will happen. Let me tell you.
The only solution is that a downside of the estuary is protected. They should have done that during the time of constructing that side, so that the voter side, which is the Atitati side, Atitati side, should also be protected into the deep sea as they have done at Adan. Then the problem ends. Like all these areas will not be suffering for any tidal erosion or tidal flooding. No, it will not happen again. This place will become very cool, calm, and all sorts of things.
We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you international news next. Right, so the whole of last week, in fact, for the past few weeks, Aisha, who is known here as the Tundra, she's starting for Joy News Prime. She's here to tell us what's coming up on Joy News Interactive.
So welcome back to Joy News Prime. And coming up, a lot of interesting stuff, but let me give you a lead. It's coming up on Joy Night, I mean, in some 30 minutes. And some residents of Kinsampo say they are angry at the president. Well, the reason is that President John Mahama failed to visit the town after the gory accident which claimed 63 lives. Do you think the reason is justified?
If he goes to check on them and does not go to Kinsampo, I don't see the problem with that because the minister has already been there.
If you have 2 children and something happened, you need to visit here and then here. You don't need to go to one side and then leave the other.
And the man who tried to contest President Mahama in the National Democratic Congress presidential primaries, George Boateng, has been arrested for impersonating national security personnel while taking money from unsuspecting persons. My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and when I return within the hour, I'll share your comments on the trending issues, including the latest on the Deputy Attorney General's suit on Facebook commentator Evelyn Hughes over the infamous Ameri deal.
All right, thank you very much, Aisha. And when Aisha returns, I'd also get her to tell us why she's known as the Tundra. Stay tuned for Joy News Prime. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now a quick look at our top stories. The Electoral Commission is confronted with another legal challenge over its plan to use existing voters' register and the conduct of the 2016 polls. Despite concerns, it is bloated. A case challenging the eligibility of Zanetor Rawlings as the NDC's Clote parliamentary candidate to continue after an Accra High Court dismissed the motion against it. 10 unclaimed and unidentified victims of last Wednesday's tragic accident at Kintampo have been buried in a mass grave. In business, car dealers are complaining the ECOWAS common external tariff system, which took off on the 1st of this month, has escalated the prices of their vehicles. On to the rest of our stories. The negotiations between teacher unions and the Labour and Employment Ministry has ended without a conclusion. Another meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday to attempt a resolution of the impasse over salary arrears and allowances. The Coalition of Concerned Teachers and the National Association of Graduate Teachers last week threatened to lay down their tools if the Finance Ministry failed to pay up salary arrears of teachers who have been serving for over 2 years without pay. Kwabna and Prechung has more.
The teachers also accused the Education Minister, Professor Jane Nano Pukwajiman, of failing to deliver on promises to alleviate their plight. The Labour and Employment Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu criticized the stance of the teachers. The Education Minister responded the teachers had no issue because the arrears had already been settled. Joy News sources say government was forced into the negotiation with the teachers after they insisted nothing but the payment of the full arrears will get them to rescind their decision to go on strike. The Labour Ministry says they are confident an amicable settlement will be reached at the second round of talks on Tuesday.
Farmers at Agogo in the Asante Achim Central District of the Ashanti region have lost a chunk of their harvest after fire ravaged their farms in a recent incident. Over 1,000 acres of cultivated land were destroyed in a fire they believe was deliberately started. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
The fire ravaged mostly plantain farms that provided financial aid to the people of Agogo. Those affected range between peasant farmers and commercial farmers. The victims described the incident as a tragedy.
I invested heavily in this farm with the loan I took from the bank. This has been the livelihood for my family all these years. I've lost everything and the bank will soon come after me.
Forest fire in Ghana is increasingly influenced by activities of farmers and other people who start the fire for various reasons. The affected farm owners are depressed but suspect the blaze was a deliberate act. For these farmers, their livelihood has been shattered and they have to think about a way out of their devastation. Wildfire has become a major cause of forest cover loss and decline in agricultural production in Ghana since 1983, when the entire forest zone was destroyed.
The major occupation for we, the citizens of Asante Achimagogo, is farming. Both the youth, the aged, and everybody is into it, and that's what we survive on, mostly plantain. And for some time now, we have had atrocities from alien men. We had a couple of it from the Fulanis. They have disturbed us for long. And now, as we speak, what is happening? There's a white man who is with a company called Nico Mairo. And this man has intentionally bent our farms down in order to plant his trees. And so as we speak, as you can see by yourself, we have had about 1,000 acres of land full of plantains being bent down as of now. And now our mothers, our parents, everybody is crying.
It
was my son who came to inform me about the activities of these men. According to him, they were using lighter to burn the whole place. Now, as you can see, everything is gone. My livelihood, my farm, and everything. I've since reported the case to the police.
The situation at Agogo is heartbreaking, especially when most farmers are struggling to overcome poverty.
They depend on the farm to pay their school fees of their wards. They depend solely on it. And as we speak now, their livelihood has come to an end. If you see them weeping, they're not weeping for anything. They have gone for bank loans. They live on bank loans for their farming activities. And now the banks are after them. Here we are with the farms, as you can see. How are they surviving? Most of them may commit suicide.
Police say 3 suspects are in custody in connection with the fire pending further investigations.
We have made 3 arrests and currently in custody, having been remanded for investigation to continue. So those 3 people are in our custody and they will surely be going to court again on Monday. We have not concluded our investigation. We are still on it, and that is why we have sought for remand so that we will continue and be able to come to a conclusion. And that is when we can be able to know how it came about, and then whether there is intentional mindset in it or what otherwise. I think that for the measures, most of it will depend on the farmers themselves and the landowners, because we will be doing patrols, but they have to also, especially those who are in the form of companies, they will have to get some people to be protecting the farm, so that if something happens, they'll be able to see the person who might have done that, which will assist investigations. That we are going to do the best of our side, good investigation. We will make sure that we do what is expected of us as professionals, and so they have to calm down and then do not take the law into their own hands. They should trust us and believe that we'll be able to do the job for them. We'll trust us and believe that we'll be able to do the job for them.
Now, the man who tried to contest President Mahama in the National Democratic Congress's presidential primaries, George Boateng, has been arrested. He was arrested Sunday night by national security officers and handed over to the airport police. George Boateng is alleged to have extorted money from unsuspecting persons under the guise that he was a national security officer. Checks by Joy News reveal he is still in custody at the airport police. George Boateng emerged in the news last year after he declared his intention to contest President Mahama in the party's November 7 primaries. Right, so we're taking a break now. When we come back, we bring you entertainment with Miss G.
Entertainment news is brought to you.
All right, it's now time for entertainment. Miss G has joined me. Unfortunately, her seat is sunk way too low. I think you should let me help you up.
Okay, all right.
So
okay.
You're sinking too low.
Okay, you
have to get up actually, and then I'll raise it, and then you can sit.
All right.
Okay.
All right then.
Great.
Okay.
So that's my welcome.
All right, so that's your welcome. I have missed you so much. You know,
I have
you're in here during Valentine. So out of love, I decided to give you something nice for Valentine. Do you like achuda?
What's that?
Oh, you don't like alewa, black and white. Okay, so I got you this.
I know it to be alewa.
I got you this.
Is this alewa?
No, this is modernized alewa.
This is agata.
This is what they call agata.
Yes.
Oh, it's not Israel. I was told about to buy Israel, and they gave me this one. So this is for you.
This is alewa. This is agata.
Okay, agata Israel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
okay, good. Thanks.
That's my Valentine gift to you.
This is what I also got you.
Okay. Okay.
It's a headset.
Is it? Oh, I should have had this earlier. They snatched my phone. I don't have a phone.
Yeah, I had that. Too bad.
Anyway, I get a new phone.
Yeah, you're gonna
and I
get
use
a
this
new
one.
phone.
Thank you.
So that you can drive you can cruise in your vehicle and still, talk.
And so talk and then
to your Nigerian friends.
You see, hey. No, they said I should tell you that.
Yes.
You're welcome. Oga, how that side? You go enjoy. See.
Well, I actually went to a Nigerian wedding in Dubai. So
yeah, you told me about that. So what did you eat? Ewedu and amala.
Oh, none of that.
What did you eat? Eba and
it happened in Dubai.
See, Niger
let's carry on with
Niger.
Let's carry on with it.
Anyway, so you know Wise's story. It's common knowledge now that the young man at the December to Remember concert showed his manhood. Now he's in and out of court. He was in court, and the next time he'll be in court is on Wednesday. Now things are not getting any better. But we thought to find out the effect of what he did that night on his family.
Ouch! Yeah, we never thought about that actually.
Budding hip life artist Eugene Ashi, known in showbiz circles as Whiter Great, says
The recent case of his alleged indecent exposure nearly killed his career. Wiser exposed his manhood while performing behind a female dancer at a public event in Accra last year, touching off a social media buzz and widespread condemnation. He says the incident affected his family.
I wanted to stop doing music because my mom doesn't like what I'm doing. She's always worried. The way the insults were coming, it was too much. People were insulting my mom and all that.
Did it affect her health-wise?
Yeah, she deformed. My mom was crying every day because every morning people would be coming to my family house and they would be talking about it and that. She's always calling me, talking to me. She wanted me to stop doing music.
Your dad?
My dad, if he called me, I already pick up.
Why?
Anytime he calls me, as soon as I pick up the call, the first question he will ask me, Miniba. He wanted me to explain, but I couldn't explain.
Some of Wise's gigs were cancelled, and he says he regrets the act, blaming it on lack of rehearsals before the event.
Especially the gigs. I was supposed to perform on a lot of stages the last Christmas. I was paid for a lot of shows, but because of what happened, we had to send the money back to the people.
Why? They just called and said, we don't want you anymore? Or what happened?
I'm always at the police station, and I can't leave. When I get there, I'll be there till evening time. My manager have to come there and bail me before I can go. I've learned a lot. Some like, whenever I'm going to perform, I have to make sure I know what I'm going to do before I get on the stage. I don't just go and perform and leave.
So you think that it was because you were not prepared?
Anytime I go to stage to perform, I just go to perform. I don't plan what I'm going to do on stage.
But we can be expecting his new collaboration with gospel artist SP Kofi Sapon, a song to thank God for everything he has gone through.
I met SP Kofi Sapon and he received me very well. He spoke to me and we are even working on a single. It's a gospel song. Just thanking God for everything he has done for me.
Well, if you ask me, I'd say that collaboration with DSP Kofi Sapon should actually be, the title of that song should be maybe Born Again.
No, it says not Born Again, it's to thank God, you know, but it means that we could also have a collaboration then. We've always talked about this.
Yeah, we've always talked about it.
The last time you're supposed to do a rap battle with me, and you left, you went on leave. Now I'm sure you got your lines clear now, and that you're back. Rap battle, which day?
Okay, don't worry, we'll fix it.
Oh,
we'll fix it sometime.
Right.
Don't worry, we'll fix it.
After all the rest, you still don't have your swag on for rap? Oh, easy. Easy.
I was concentrating on other things.
Anyway, let's go on to other things. And Jifogo Mashi, I know you were away, but I'm sure you heard this one. She has called for police to arrest anybody that shows any part of their body indecently.
Really?
Yes, she says.
Because of the Wiser case.
She said, yes, just as they were swift to take Wiser on when he did that on the December to Remember concert. She thinks that if you find anybody on the street and you think that they have shown their cleavage, their wear, and any parts of them show, you know, let the police arrest them. And people are saying, of course, this is not feasible. And so Lawyer Baden is one of the people. He says that, look, forget it. The law, even on indecent acts, is vague. It's left to the judge's discretion to say that, okay, yes, you're dressed indecently. But why would the police be in Israel? I asked, would they be everywhere?
Well, they're saying that she's essentially saying that if you see someone who you think is indecently dressed, you draw the attention of the police, and the police will come and
by the time the police is there, I'm gone.
So the police wouldn't be everywhere, but once you call the police, they should come.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you're calling 911, or you're calling 215, or you're calling which police?
No, you see these days the police are all over. They're at you know, traffic intersections and so you go there and tell them that, Chief, there's some lady coming. You
know what just dropped in my mind? I can remember I can imagine the police. Now they won't even be at the traffic lights and traffic. No, they will be. I'm on duty. What are you arresting indecently dressed persons? That's what they'll be interested in.
No, but those who are saying that it's unrealistic, I tend to agree with them, because I think the police have a lot more to do.
Sure.
I mean, there are armed robbery cases where the police are called and they say they don't have vehicles and the rest. And so I'd rather they were concentrating on those ones and leaving the indecent exposure for another time.
You see, for us to enjoy and feed our eyes anyway.
That's what I said.
So, D'banj and his friend Don Jazzy are in the news again. Now, over the weekend, a Nigerian multi-millionaire had his 60th birthday. Now, he had called on both of them to perform for him.
Okay.
That was his birthday wish. Now, according to D'banj, he had told Don Jazzy that along the line, whilst he's performing, he will call on him to come join him on stage. D'banj called on Don Jazzy. He was nowhere to be found. And Don Jazzy went on Twitter to say, oh, he's told people that in fact, D'banj first went on Twitter and said, it looks like they hid Don Jazzy from him. So he already informed him. He doesn't know why, so he can't talk for Don Jazzy. Now Don Jazzy also goes on Twitter to say, oh, he stopped performing long ago. He didn't even perform with Dr. Sid at Dr. Sid's concert. That he performed with Timaya. So he stopped performing long ago. And so a fan tweeted asking him, so how come the young man who is D'banj says, he told you earlier, he says, oh, he and D'banj have performed 3 times last year, so that's enough. Can you imagine?
Okay.
All right.
I mean, these celebrities and their issues.
You know that. Mona Lisa also had a wedding over the weekend. This is the second time she's married. You know, in 2009. 2009 she was married. Her marriage came to an end. That's her first marriage. And then she got married again over the weekend. That was a traditional marriage.
Right.
And what we hear is that the white wedding will be held in Greece.
Okay, maybe they should invite me.
Yeah, you know, Israel, that's so selfish. She said maybe they should invite us.
Okay, yeah, they should invite us.
Oh, they're inviting me. I'm going alone. I don't carry this man come. Make me not invite them. I've told them don't invite him.
About the second wedding. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try
exactly.
Again.
And this time she had a big one. And maybe that's why they are going to Greece. You know that Stephanie Okereke, now Stephanie Linus, also had the same issue. Her second wedding was big, and it was out of Nigeria.
We wish them all the best.
We wish them all the best, of course. And guess who is throwing his weight behind Hillary Clinton?
Certainly not Donald Trump.
No, he can't. He can't. He dares not. We don't even need it. Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, it's actor Morgan Freeman. And here's what I had to say about Hillary.
It is a very, very important election. Not that all of them aren't, but we're in a situation in the world today where everybody's sitting on some kind of a powder keg, and there are too many people who got matches, you know what I mean? So whoever is going to be part of the world leadership is going to have some serious knowledge and smarts, and I think because of Hillary's background, her knowledge, her proven abilities.
In foreign policy,
yeah.
as a former Secretary of State.
Exactly.
So this is about, for you it sounds like this is about trust, who you can trust.
Yes.
All right,
so I guess for Morgan Freeman, Hillary's who he can trust.
Yeah.
So we see how it pans out, because CNN reports that he was out there having dinner with Barack Obama as well. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, they're rolling high plays. I mean, these are all big shots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, America's influential.
For the welcome edition of Entertainment News was brought to you by Electoral, the smartphone network. Israel, enjoy the Agatha Israel.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you too for bringing us entertainment. So we're taking a break. When we come back, we have sports, and Nathaniel Ato is joining me.
Entertainment News was...
All right, so it's time for sports, and I've been joined by the king of swag, who also loves sports, Nathaniel Ato. Good evening.
You know, so
great to have you on set.
Yeah, good to see you too. You know what? I should be asking you, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good. I'm good.
Sure. We're talking a lot of stuff right now, but did you make time to watch any NBA?
A bit of NBA, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of NBA.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. What else?
Football.
Oh, just football.
Soccer.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about one man who is loved across the world for his exploits in long-distance running. Yes, it's the man, Haile Gebrselassie, who is in Accra. He passed through Accra earlier today to launch the Millennium Marathon for this year, which has a very big prize at stake of $100,000 for the winner. Government is pledging support for this event, which will be headlined by the long-distance legend.
When I was here last year, I didn't expect, the race to become like what's happening right now. Good. But one thing what I want to tell you, and this is not just an issue of yours and sport, an issue of running, an issue of health, an issue of Red Cross. When we talk about running, and when you talk about sport, I don't think. As you know, used to be Africa rides on. Used to be. Now, Africa on running, huh? Yes, we have to. Yes, we do. to catch where the others, of course, we have to run. Which way? What we are telling you now. The others, just they reach, just a certain point, and if we wish to be like Europeans or Americans, we have to run. Don't worry, we will catch them. Believe me. One thing what we have to do, I think now we are talking about running the Millennium Marathon. When we talk about running is everything, I'm telling you, everything. Now, the Minister of Health should be here. How much, just we spend per year for health care of our people in hospital? How much you spend? A lot. In my country, many of them, they spend a lot for diabetes, blood pressure, and so on and so on and so on. By going to Bangkok, Saudi Arabia, Germany, to spend a lot of money. You see, directly doing sport is making money by protecting, all those diseases what we don't like. Of course, nobody likes a disease.
The Millennium Marathon has introduced our progressive tagline, Africa on the Run, which presents an agenda described to give attention to a continental drive to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which includes good well-being and a healthy lifestyle, in addition to the social issues facing Africa. The government will support the exciting 10 regional marathon race, which I'm told will engage at least 100,000 youth in all the 10 regions of Ghana. The Regional Millennium Marathon Advocacy Scheme will engage the youth prior to each marathon race and bring to the level of the youth in the simplest language and possibly in local languages the details of the social issues and challenges facing them at this time. We must all do our best now and race to ensure that the 2016 Millennium Marathon will be a race to promote peace and contribute the strengths and support the ideals of the SDGs. I take this opportunity to officially launch the Millennium Marathon, Africa on the Run 2016.
All right, so let's now focus on UEFA Champions League action, and tomorrow all the attention will be on that game between the Gunners, Arsenal, and Barcelona, who have been known to have one of the deadliest strike forces you can think about in club football around the world. We look ahead to this big game.
Boasting 16 consecutive progressions to the Champions League knockout stage, on the face of it, Arsenal's statistics in club football's premier competition are nothing to laugh at. It's their group stage performance in recent years, however, that has proved their biggest stumbling block. In 6 of the last 8 seasons, Arsene Wenger's men have finished second in the group section, therefore pitting them against top seeds come the draw for the round of 16. Falling short against Bayern Munich and Monaco in recent years, the Londoners will face a group winner for the 4th consecutive campaign. And not just any group winners, but the free-scoring world and European champions Barcelona. Meeting for the 2nd time in the round of 16 and 3rd knockout encounter since their 2006 final showdown, Arsenal and Barcelona matchups have been anything but dull and seemingly primed for Lionel Messi to shine. Between 2010 and 2011, the Argentine maestro scored 6 goals in 4 matches against the Londoners as he single-handedly ended the Gunners' European adventures. Of course, there's more to Barcelona than the World Player of the Year. See Luis Suarez and Neymar. Things don't get any easier for the Barclays Premier League contenders as they have lost the first leg at home in each of their last 3 second-round ties in the competition. With Barca on a 32-game unbeaten run in all competitions, Arsenal could be in for a long 90 minutes on Tuesday evening.
Well, tough night. Well, it's very, very debatable. So let's see if Arsenal is able to cause a major upset. Let's do some tennis now. And the latest world rankings are out. Guess who are on top? Yes, it's Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams.
No change to the top 5 in men's tennis. The latest rankings released on Monday still see Novak Djokovic well clear of his nearest rivals. The Serb hasn't played since lifting his 6th Australian Open crown last month, but sits pretty atop the rankings on 16,790 points, nearly twice as many as second-ranked Andy Murray, whom he defeated in the final of the first Grand Slam of the year. 17-time Slam champion Roger Federer stays third ahead of Stanislas Wawrinka and Rafael Nadal, while David Ferrer has lost 2 spots, Kei Nishikori and Thomas Berdych jumping above the Spaniard. Kevin Anderson is ranked 14th. While Serena Williams hits 157 consecutive weeks at number 1, passing Martina Navratilova for the second longest streak at the top in WTA history. It's one that began in 2013 and has seen her win 6 major titles at all 4 Grand Slam tournaments, including 2 French and 2 US Open titles. Angelique Kerber and new number 3 Agnieszka Radwanska, who replaces Simona Halep in the top 3. Maria Sharapova is 6th, Petra Kvitova 8th. Roberta Vinci is in the top 10 for the first time in her career.
All right, we'll wrap it up with some basketball, shall we? And LA Lakers lost to Chicago Bulls, and it was an 11-point margin.
Bryant's farewell tour continued on Sunday night when the LA Lakers star played his last game in Chicago with the Bulls, his team's opponents. The first half would not go Kobe's way, though, as his team were down at the half 62-58, and despite the 37-year-old's best efforts in the match, where he scored the joint most points for the Lakers on the night with 22, it was Fred Hoiberg's men who took control of the contest in the third quarter, with the likes of Pau Gasol, Derrick Rose and an athletic dunk by Etuan Moore ensuring that the home team went into the last 12 minutes with a 16-point lead. Though Byron Scott's team fought hard and did get back to within 3 with just under 5.5 minutes still to play, they could not rein in the rest of the deficit as Chicago inflicted a 5th loss in a row on the visitors, 126-115.
All right, so that's how we'll wrap it up. Before we do that, however, let's also check what happened in that game between Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards. Well, it was 114-94.
Playing at home in American Airlines Arena, the Heat felt comfortable in the first quarter. Goran Dragic drove for a layup that gave the Heat a lead of 10-5. In the second quarter, star of the game for Miami, Whiteside, grabbed a rebound and his putback basket put the Heat ahead 50-30, much to the enjoyment of injured teammate Dwayne Wade. Wizards guard John Wall tried to keep his side close, but his jumper late in the quarter only cut the deficit to 14. Justice Winslow and Bradley Beal helped Eric Spoelstra's team keep their foot on the accelerator in the third quarter, as the home team went into the last quarter 82-68 ahead. There was no let-up from the Heat in the fourth quarter, Luol Deng getting in on the action with a hook shot. Deng contributed 27 points to the victory before Whiteside got in a great position to tip in. Moments later, the 26-year-old caught some air, as the Heat would never be caught, winning 114-94.
All right, so that's how we wrap it up here on the Sports Bulletin. There's more on tomorrow's edition of the morning show. All right, so that's how we wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.